What's up guys, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I bring you news for romancing SaGa UniverSe. They just announced it, a new banner, History Exploration Romancing Festival Hargy. Brings Hargy, that is an X user with lots of support, Aisha, another X user with support, and Minstrel. Minstrel has support, a banner with full support. Okay, so let's go to Reddit. We have a post by Hands43. Thank you so much for it. Is an amazing job as always. They buffed Hargy. They gave him 130 STR, really good, and then 115% agility, really good as well. He already has 104% will, so very good status to be said. Well, Hargy has a very interesting mechanic where he gives plus 5 BP to all allies for 10 turns, including himself. Then he recovers 10 BP, so he starts with 20, and he grants this Unami power. So damage increases by 30% for all allies, and he also decreases all damage received if it's indirect by 30% too. So it's kind of part of his passive style. Very nice. Then when attacking, he always chases with Healing Axe. That is a C power attack that recovers 1,200, and he has a 50% chance to chase again with Sky Drive. Sky Drive gives points of OG Guard to all other surviving allies. This can be used for some strategies if you want to reach overdrive faster. By the end of a turn, he has many different things. For example, 50% chance to give 1 BP to all allies other than himself. Then 37% chance to give 2 BP to all other allies other than self. And then 25% chance to give 3 BP to all other allies other than self. And then a 10% chance to give 4 BP to all other allies other than self. So what does this mean? We have 4 different effects, each having different chances, and you are likely to get at least one of them to trigger. And that is a way to get lots of BP, and if you have good RNG, this can be really helpful. Then he has X Intrinsic, increasing damage potential by 20%, so he has 30 at all times, and reduces damage taken by 40% if you resist, and 37% chance to evade when resisting. Then we have skill number 1, that is free, and it recovers BP by 2. That's what you're gonna use if you don't have enough BP to use skill number 3. That's the craziest skill ever. 17 BP cost, double S power, slash, and it will recover between 1 to 10 BP randomly to all allies, including self. So he needs to reach 17 VP. Okay, he starts the fight with 20, and he gives plus 5 increase to all allies, including self, for 10 turns. So you're gonna use this random start to see what you get, and if you don't get enough, you keep using skill 1. You also have the second skill that has 3 VP cost that will recover the target's HP and give 5 VP. You can actually use this on himself if you feel like you want even extra BP, because the first skill gives him 2, this will give 5, or you can recover someone that really needs. So his setup is to cycle between skill 1 or 2 and then skill 3 and use it as much as he can possibly do. And if the enemy has indirect attacks, he's also decreasing damage taken, he's giving lots of VP. It's kind of like just that, but it can be used in some setups if some characters have access to very good skills but with high costs. For example, Anya needs 9 BP to cast her defense boost medium, and usually cannot cast it 3 times in a row, and Hargy can help. Many other characters will benefit from this cycle. He is like Shirei, but better in situations where you cannot buff, because Shirei decreases damage taken only by 15%, but it's from all sources. Hargy will generate more BP than Shirei, on good average, and will still decrease more damage if the enemy is more focused on indirect attacks. Because he also always chases and has a chance to chase again, he will do much more damage than Shirei overall as well. A very good style that will receive a 4.5 out of 5 in my new grading system. Then we have Minstrel, and this guy here was buffed. He was barely doing any damage on JP. Now they buffed from 86% STR to 128. They also buffed his agility to reach 108% and buffed a little bit of love. He already has very good will and endurance, so he doesn't easily die. This character, when attacking, will recover HP by very small effect and recover 1 BP. This is nice because he has chases. And these chases are very different. On odd turns, you will always activate this chase that is a E-power AoE slash attack that recovers HP by very small effect and 1 BP to all allies, including himself. He'll be self-healing a lot, but giving BP to everyone is nice. And then he will have a 50% chance to chase with this other attack that is also AoE. This time it's Blunt and Slash. That will grant this attack boost, that will increase damage potential by 15%, but also decrease damage taken by 25%. This is defense boost, so it stacks with other sources of defense boost. And then on even turns is the reverse. He will always chase with that armored string to give you the defense boost, and then has a 50% chance to chase with the other attack that he uses and gives BP. I have to say that the defense boost skill is much better, right? But all of his changes are AoE based, meaning that if you are versus a single boss, even with that increase to STR, his damage is very limited. Besides, Minstrel has a turn begins 30% buff to all status to everyone, but by the end of a turn, he also has a 50% chance to remove all those buffs. This is what limits this character. If you are in a fight where a boss removes your status buffs by the end of a turn, okay. But if you are not, if you're in a fight that your buffs last for 2 turns, for example, they will only remove on even turns, you're losing a lot, especially if you are also bringing Matriarch. Remember that Matriarch buffs status, but she also has a passive where you buff yourself when attacking. Same goes for the S-Sword version of Rock Bouquet. So this is really not great. I would just prefer 20% buffs to all status without any countermeasure. It's not even great, like 50% to everyone, to have such a penalty. It then has Sword Finesse that increases damage potential by 30%, but also reduces damage taken at all times by 30% too. First skill is now free. It's an AoE slash attack with E-power that will recover HP to all allies by very small effect. The second one is an 8 BP one that can only be used in 1 time per battle. We recover 5 BP to all allies and grant this other passive, call it Heart of Peace. That by the end of a turn you have a 50% chance to clear all the buffs on each one. Then you have a Heat Up that increases damage potential for the whole fight by 15% and reduces damage taken as well via defense up by 5%. 5% defense up is really weak. Then skill number 3 is a 10 BP C-Power AoE slash Instant attack, where you have endurance buff that can reach as much as 40% if you level up, and will grant a defense stance versus a skill that increases skill damage by 35% for 3 turns. Skill stance does not stack, so you should only use it on this turn, and then you can inherit something else to use, or keep using skill 1 for 2 turns and then go back to skill 3. The good thing is that in between those, you can use this second skill to give EP to everyone, including Minstrel. So in the end, this is free because you get 5 by casting and another 3 by the end of a turn. You can inherit something from his passive style that also decreases damage taken. He has a similar skill where he buffs will instead of endurance and decreases spell damage. He has a skill that gives BP and heal. You can choose whatever you want. Even fast Armada against Morale up and Guard up could be used in between turns, but since he actually wants to attack, I prefer the other inheritances, since he gets 1 DP with each time he hits. Minstrel is a really strange character, has not much to offer. I believe that you will have to use him on the right fights, and even when you are using on the right fights, it's not the best support you can get. Well, Minstrel, because he can also give this defense stance versus a skill, competes with Candy that just got released, and Candy is much better. They can both generate BP, but Candy generates much more. I think that if you are using Minstrel on the right fights, it can be useful, but it's just like you are negating part of his kit by losing all status buffs, and he can even affect the performance of many other passives. I really don't like this. As a whole, without caring about the second passive, I would say that he deserves a 4 out of 5, but because of this bad passive, I would say it's much more like a 3.5 out of 5. Moving on, we have Aisha, and she's back to using Axis, and 117 SDR, not really high, 75 only endurance, but at least 100% will, and they buffed her love, because she's a very good healer, really. Well, she has a 20% damage increase, then another 20 via Axe Intrinsic. Damage taken is reduced by 25% at all times, then reduce it again by 40% if you resist, and you have 37% chance to evade a resisted attack. Battle begins on odd turns. You grant this guard up large to all allies, decreasing damage taken by 35% to all sources. But then on even turns, she'll be granting this morale up that will increase damage potential by 40% for 1 turn to all allies. So if you are using Overdrive, you should prefer to use it on even turns. Then on multiply of 3 turns, she'll be recovering HP by small effect. Yes, that will be healing around 1,500 because of her love, and give 1 BP to all allies. Very nice, because on multiply of 3 turns, it's still an odd turn first, and then it becomes an even turn on the second. But you are having lots of triggers, and since she's using Axis, she's going to make remembrance much easier. It's a lot of healing without having to really cast something. By the end of a turn, she gets 2 BP and has a 50% chance to recover the HP of all allies by around 300. Then, skill number 1 is a single target slash attack with C power that recovers the HP of all allies by a very small effect. That will be around 300. Then the second one is a spell that can only be used once in fight that will grant an HP recover by the end of turn to all allies. That will be permanent in battle. It will be recovering around 300. She also gives this heat up that increases damage potential by 15% for the whole fight, and a defense up that decreases damage received by 5%. 5% is not really impactful, but helps. And then a 10 BP skill that has slash and blunt damage that attacks 2 times, where she will be recovering HP by a very small effect to all allies on each attack. Okay, so B power to hits, it's not that strong. It should feel more like early Axis or S power attack if you are using a triple S weapon, and she will be healing a lot. You can see that she was designed to heal, sometimes give a little bit of BP, sometimes give some more defense support, but her main gameplay is healing. She's not good enough to be used on hard challenges. She works similarly to Liz that can heal every 3 turns, but it's not as good. As you can see, she only has 5% defense up and the guard up, but she will heal more than Liz overall, but it's just that we need lots of defense boosts as well on hard challenges, so it's hard to make the trade. But for remembrance, she is really good. I believe that people will be using her and completely change the sustain of their party. But we just got Darius, and Darius will be enough for healing. She will make it overkill, but for future challenges like the Megalith Dragon, both together will be really insane. If you have her inheritance from the Asus Word style, she has a single target skill where she applies Morale down medium, and that can be interesting. You can cycle that skill and the skill 1 and always have enough BP, and sometimes even use the skill 3. I think on that point she'll be similar to a 4.0 grade, but without inheritance, more like a 3.5 grade, because it's much more about healing than anything else, and guard up is not on every turn. That means that it's not really all reliant. So this banner is actually good for people that want to increase their potential for remembrance, because we have Hargy and Aisha, 2 very good styles. Hargy is the one that will be most used in meta, because people will replace Shirei with Hargy in most fights, because now we cannot buff for more than 1 turn, so Shirei being used as a buffer doesn't help as much, and if he's just decreasing damage taken by 15%, you can instead use Hargy. But Shirei is more reliable. Hargy can be either amazing or not as much, depending on battle RNG. Sadly, Minstrel works because he has that defense boost. He has the skill defense boost as well, but overall, his passive that can remove your buffs makes him much more limited to anything. So if you want to pull here, I would suggest getting Hargy and dropping if you already have Darius. If you don't have Darius, it's okay to PT Aisha, close to 15,000 coins. But if you didn't get Darius or just want to be even better on healing, you can get her, and then you should skip Minstrel, mostly. Unless you are a fan of the character he works, it's just that he will find lots of competition in what he's trying to do. But that's just my first impressions. What are yours? Say here in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I see you soon in the next video or live stream. Goodbye.